All right, let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Beaver Farmer Cigar Garage Talks back in the garage again, wrapping February up. I did say early or late in January I wasn't going to be doing any more themed months because they're kind of a pain in the butt. And accidentally, I did a theme month. I'm on the wrong side of the table again. My lovely wife, wait, go and wave to the camera. My lovely wife is here again to finish off the Rona's Remembers, the month of Rona's Remembers. Shockingly, I've been having an awesome time with this one. Shockingly, just because it was kind of a thrown together, like last minute. Some of these like theme months I do, I actually spend a month planning and researching and getting stuff together. And actually, January's was a complete fail, 100% fail. Worst video series for movies or videos I did. Absolutely horrible. Doesn't help I got the Ronas too at that time. But yeah, complete and utter fail. This one was just kind of shot from the hip. We did a one-off video, which I kind of thought maybe, well, I'll just save this one for another month or two, but that led to another video, which led to a third video. I wasn't even guessing, so if you're keeping track, the first one was We Remember. The next one is The Kids Remember. And then the third one that took me totally by surprise was the, okay, I'm going to screw it up, 2/22/22 time capsule to be opened in 3/33. So 11 plus a few days time capsule, which I'm excited about. Actually running into town, I'm putting in a cigar, a tube cigar inside a glass sealed cigar, which I think is going to be kind of fun because I've been doing these cigar garage talks now for over a year. And I might throw something in from the state job. I was thinking about that on the drive home today.
Yeah, I worked there for the whole.
The whole pandemic. I worked at the state. So before we get too far in the weeds, why don't you present your drink first?
Oh,
Right? We finally have bubbly,
my bubbly.
blue blackberry bubbly.
Yes, this one's blackberry bubbly. Yes.
Blackberry bubbly. She has a drink finally, folks, and she might actually drink it. Who knows? Maybe she won't crack it open. We did try to get some chocolate pudding bread, but the lady had sold out. But she said she had some in the freezer for us. It just was not going to be in time for this video. Big tears, lots of them. All right, what are we smoking tonight? You might remember this one by Oscar Valdez, the 2012. Can my wife guess why I picked a 2012 cigar to smoke?
A 2012 cigar. Well, Wild and Free was born in 2012.
The last big apocalypse was supposed to happen in 2012. It's ironic. We're talking about the apocalypse we're currently in with the Romans.
In 2012. What's that all about?
2012 was the end of the world, the Anunnaki, the Aztec calendar, the Mayan,
That was
Mayan
2002.
calendar. No. 2000 was Y2K, 2012 was when the Mayan calendar ran out. And the Anunnaki and Planet X and all that stuff is supposed to come crashing together.
I don't know about that.
So, it's a thing. We did a whole video on it.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it.
So, the Apocalyptic cigar, this is actually the first cigar I smoked for the Apocalyptic series I did, which was a couple months back. But this was just too funny. So, I was going to do, they have the Sisu Stout, a delicious beer that the local brewing company did. But I accidentally grabbed this one. It was just too good. Too good not to talk, drink. It's the Lockdown Swedish Ale, which for tonight's topic, it's just too perfect. You can't not drink a Lockdown.
I guess that seems appropriate.
That seems very appropriate. Apocalyptic and Lockdown. So tonight, the plan, I'll put a little card up there. We are going to be doing our reaction to the Kids Remember video. So about a week ago I posted, or 2 weeks ago now, I posted the Kids Remember, Kids Rona Remember. Now this video, still good Scottish ale. That kicks you in the teeth. Good stuff. I've had that one I think before on the channel. If not, I've had it before. We did an unscripted, told the kids, we'd ask them what they remember, a happy memory, a sad memory, a silly memory, and then something they want to remember for all times. So we're sitting here. We recorded them again. No scripting. They didn't tell me what they were going to talk about, how they talked about. Um,
Well, you did tell them kind of what you
I
were going
told,
to
but
ask.
it's not like I asked them, "What are you going to remember? What are you going to talk about? What are you?" I wanted it to be a very in time interview. So now we're doing our reaction to it, which both of us, I think, more than a little surprised by some of the kids' answers.
I wasn't.
I was totally shocked, especially by my oldest response. I actually had to take a second after interviewing him to kind of re-get in a headspace because of what he said, kind of repeatedly. So overall, what did you think of the Rona's Remembered?
Well,
Kids Rona's Remembered.
I honestly wasn't surprised with most of what they said because it makes complete sense for them to like gravitate on those things, especially at their ages and development levels. So I wasn't surprised at all. Plus, they've kind of talked about it multiple times in the last couple of years. What's going on and what they think of the situation. So I wasn't overly surprised with what they remember. I do think it was funny that most of them said that, before COVID, they hated going grocery shopping, they hated being in the stores. And a good portion of them were like, after COVID, like, I love to go shopping, I like
Right.
being in the store. And it's true. Like, I remember not even that long before COVID started, Swedish Compass would be like, we would be in the middle of grabbing bread and stuff, and she would randomly sit down
Sit
on an
down.
empty
I'm too
shelf
tired. I
or
can't move.
whatever. My feet hurt. My
My
legs
feet
are
hurt.
tired. I want to take a break.
Well, and once the oldest two, Vashman and Swedish Compass, were old enough, they consistently were like, "We'll just stay home." And we kind of torture them a little bit, like, "Okay, well, the two youngest are going to stay with you." Um,
Yeah,
and it kind of became like we actually ended up forcing them, like, "No, we're all going shopping. You have no choice. No choice in this." And yeah, I do actually remember the first trip because we actually had to do research because at the time, again, this is that things we learned later. At the time, a lot of stores wouldn't let kids under 16 enter in.
and that was just a local area thing. I did not
No,
realize
that was a national
really, because
um,
I knew that like I went over to like visit mom and stuff, and they didn't have the same problem.
well, it was store specific. So Wally World had it for a little bit. Menards had it almost
Oh,
through the
Menards
first
had it
year
a long
of the
time.
pandemic. Menards was one of the although they got caught price gouging, so they got to kind of watch their noses. But yeah, it was Wally World finally was going to let all children. 100% had to be masked though. There was a security guard posted with his radio and his harsh words. And they had the bean counter, the clicker to see how many people are coming in and out. And it was surreal. I do remember taking the kids. It was very surreal to like take them into the store because I hadn't been able to. Like they sat in the car or they stayed home or and even the kids like in the store were on one hand wanted to just boom hit it, run, check everything out, but on the other they were almost scared of people like. Which there was a lot of that going on.
I
A
don't know
lot
if they
of
were scared of people, but there was a very unfriendly feeling.
there was that too. I'll give you that. It was more of like
There
an
was a lot
unfriendly.
of like people were very unfriendly, and not just because they didn't want to catch something, but just unfriendly in general towards families with children coming into a public place. Like, I understand children are one of the main ways that viruses and illnesses spread because little hands don't tend to wash as well, and they rub noses and eyes and mouths and touch everything. So they can be very germ filled or
Yeah.
germ infested. And it was sad though because I think in some regards we've treated children like they're to blame.
Right there, the petri dish. Well, that's what's going on in
They're-
schools right now.
Yeah, they're the ones to blame. They're going to be the ones that get it, and they'll be fine, but they'll hurt somebody else, or they'll make somebody else sick. So, I think children actually were like maybe blamed for passing this on because a lot of kids are asymptomatic or, very mild, like, and so, like, people were mean towards kids in stores. Like, they would, like, almost growl at you and definitely give you a wide berth and seem angry. And
Well, it didn't help. Dad also open carry the entire time.
yeah, but I don't think that, like, that doesn't change how people react. I don't think, because I mean, the first thing you see when you see a large family, especially when all of them are covered, in masks, is not the one gun that's probably mostly hidden because of a shopping cart and children's legs and bodies.
Yeah.
And so, I think that it was a lot of, like, negative reactions towards just seeing kids in public, which is sad.
It is. Now, here's an interesting question. Now, full disclosure for everyone who's watching, we actually signed up for the grocery pickup before it became the only thing you could do during the Ronas. So we were already doing the Walmart and Meijer's mostly because of our kids, because like Dad could just grab the groceries on his way home. It was convenient. We didn't have to literally drag the kids through the store.
Well, and
we were doing that months before the
and we
Ronas
found
hit.
that, like, a weekly shopping trip, we'd have to break up into 2 trips because we have a big vehicle and it holds all 8 of us, but there's no trunk space.
Yeah, there's no.
And so it's not quite big enough to actually carry a family of 8's groceries, especially when you add paper products in, like, toilet paper, paper towel, or anything like that. It doesn't, like, we have groceries sitting on children's laps or at their feet, and it's just not safe to drive.
Well, we found that doing that system we could use, we stuck to a budget better, we did menus better. But now, should we be treating the kids and maybe once a week go grocery shopping with? I mean, we take them out to stores, obviously, they go to, but usually it's like Michael's or it's into Walmart to get crafting stuff. It's not grocery shopping.
I don't know if that's treating the kids, but I mean, they actually like to look at food anyway. So, like, some of the girls, like, picking out the newest fruits that they want to try is a fun time. And don't take the boys down the candy aisle.
So speaking about the boys, and I'll admit the one that surprised me was my oldest, was Vash, man. I talked to you at length about this after I recorded and had you listen to it. You were kind of like, well, that makes sense. But then I listened again to it, and I was like, well, you know what? I don't know. So my oldest son said, one of his most regrettable memories is he had to stay inside so much. That he remembers staying, we were just locked down in the house. Dad wouldn't let us out, bar the doors. Which
that's not exactly what he said, but yeah.
That's pretty much what he said. And he even he kind of recanted when I kind of pushed him, like, well, what do you mean? He said, well, we didn't go to park and see, meet new friends, we went to parks, which was really kind of interesting. At the time, when the summer this all really hit off, you had to go help out with family members. So I was actually home for about 6 weeks doing Mr. Mom for 6 weeks. And I actually made it a point to go to a park every day. And we were outside a good chunk of the day. Now at night, full disclosure, I need my personal time at night. So especially when your wife's not there, you're doing double duties. Yes, I did let them play games and watch movies more than they probably ever have in the summer. I'll be honest there. I'm not going to say I'm fully
dun dun dun.
Yeah, to blame or innocent in this. But he really does. He's like, all we did was play video games and watch TV. We're stuck inside.
And then when you listen to Swedish Compass's discussion and actually the younger girls too, it's, well, we were outside, but it was the yard, and that's not really away from home. And so
Which is
I
funny,
think
though,
a lot
because
of that interpretation is, like, you guys spent a ton of time in the pool. But if you're in the pool, you're outside, yes, but you're still at home. And if you're in the yard, you're outside, yes, but you're still at home. So you still feel, like, closeted in.
True.
And I do understand that feeling. Like, even us, we would go and we would walk around outside, and we would walk, like, sometimes a couple of miles. But it was literally in a small square, because if we walked down the street with the kids, there were,
dirty faces looking out the window.
Yeah, there was grumpiness. There was some
It was really funny. I mean, like,
attitude.
I actually kind of got a kick out of it because I don't mind taking my kids. I had no fear. Actually, about after the first month, and I learned a lot about the virus. Now, I do have a background in infectious diseases, in virology. I know a lot about this stuff from my EMS time and my teaching EMS. We would go to parks and we'd be the only people.
Well, and that's always fun for me, like
Mhm.
going places and not having to deal with tons and tons of people. But yeah, I mean, it is awkward though. I
It was
see
just-
where the kids were coming from.
I do
yeah.
see it, but at the same time, like, we found the Rapids Park.
Well, like
We
okay,
found the murder campground. The kids really want to go camping here during Halloween. I mean, this is straight out of
no.
a Sam Raimi, or who's the other? What's the writer? Horror.
Stephen King.
Stephen King. Like, this is the backdrop for a Stephen King novel. I mean, even the kids are like, we drove through there. It's kind of, we got out, walked around a little bit, and every one of them jumped in the car. They're like, there is definitely a dead body somewhere. Like, that's just the look of it. To be fair, it was early spring, so it was swampy, and the leaves weren't really growing. And
Well, but I do understand where they're coming from because I spent that first summer literally driving an hour and a half every single day to get to a hospital and then an hour and a half back. And in that entire time, I mean, that was a lot of driving and a lot of traveling. And at the same time, I felt like I never did anything and I never left the house. And
but it's just bizarre. I mean, we found the little secret park
I get
that we
it,
found,
but
and I got to talk to the township supervisor who fell in love with us. Little background behind this park. So this park apparently was like the biggest point of contention that they built it, and our kids played there. And all of a sudden, this old man comes up to me during the Ronas. None of us were wearing masks because, again,
park.
not a thing. The park. What did I say?
No, you said, I was just verifying
Oh,
why wear a
the-
mask at the park.
Yeah, while we were outdoor at this park, this old guy comes up to us, and I was a little like, "Oh God, here comes the
lecture.
the Ken lecture," and he wanted to give me a big old hug because he took pictures of my kids because he had to justify
Having fun.
having built this park, which actually cost quite a bit of money. We didn't know existed.
And you know what's interesting about that is this park right here, maybe a mile from the house, never truly closed. But we made a trip all the way up to
Marquette.
and like, it was a long day. And after an hour in the car, the kids were like, "Oh," and I can't even remember. Like it was because our bank here was closed, so we
Our
had to
bank
go
had
to a
closed down.
physical bank
Yep.
an hour away. And so we had to make this long drive with all of the kids because we never leave them home when we're going to be gone or that far away for that long. So we're all the way up there and we're like, well, you know what? Let's reward the kids. We're going to take them to that really cool park. And I can't remember the name, Miners Park or something.
It's down by the waterfront.
I was thinking the one in Nagani.
Oh, the Nagani. Oh, yep. Okay.
So we go
yeah.
we go first to the one in Nagani, and it is taped off and quarantined. Like you can't access the slides or those swings. Nothing. It is blocked off with police tape, and we're like, oh, okay, that's weird. So then we go further and we try to find another park, and all the parks
Right.
are blocked off. So our poor kids can't even play.
Play around.
I think maybe we ended up going to a beach with rocks and sitting
Oh, yeah, we went
and
to the
then
Rock
playing
Beach,
with
went
the
to
rock
the
beach because
Presque
there was,
Isle Park up there in Marquette.
but you still couldn't use any of the playground
Yeah.
equipment. I think that was still blocked off. So we had to just
I'm not even sure we're supposed to go on the beach.
I
that
don't
day.
even
That
know.
probably would have got us arrested.
so like it was awful. The poor kids, like they, and there were a couple of times we went to parks near here, and the same thing was the case. They were blocked. So I get where the kids are like, yeah, we couldn't go anywhere because
I mean,
that
when
was
you look at it that way, I'll give my oldest a little bit of a break because
that
there was a lot
startling. Like and
of.
it,
We've been there. We went to the Y pool with the jacuzzi and the sauna. Well, we can't go in the sauna. We can't go in the jacuzzi.
yeah.
They
And-
actually had
and-
for a second. You had to wear a mask in a pool. Like,
right.
a hot second. Thank you, Govs.
Well, and it was terrible because, like, we'd go to the Y and the sauna or the hot tub are open, but the capacity is so low that it's physically too small for even half of our family to use. So we couldn't utilize any of that stuff.
So let's talk about our second oldest, Swedish Compass. She had kind of a funny, fun memory. She remembers the rationing of the pooping papers, the toilet paper. So, um, again, this video for all posterity purposes. I've been a prepper for many, 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 many years. You know, and we always do the doomsday. What happens when you know, shit, you know, shit hits the fan. It's whatever. The the shizzy hits the fizzy happens. Like, what are people going to rush for? And I think there are a lot of preppers who are like, toilet paper. Okay, I did not see that one coming. Like, I did not. Like, I fear food, bullets, matches, you know, lighter fluid, camping gear. Now, to be fair, thankfully in the UP, we actually have a little bit of a lag time. What happens in the bigger cities takes a few days to a few weeks to happen here. So I actually bought up on toilet paper, and we actually had a pretty fair stock, but...
Well, we usually keep it with a family,
our size. You
because,
gotta...
you know, somebody, like an illness goes through the house, and one, you use
like that
more.
one in Ishpeming where everyone was
Yeah, well,
themselves.
you use more usually when you're sick, whether it's for blowing your nose or whatnot. But also, like, if our family gets sick, we try not to go out because, you know, our family isn't sick for one day.
Yeah,
it usually takes at least a week to burn through our house. Sometimes as many as 6 weeks because, you know, if one person is sick for 4 days before the next person gets sick, well, then that person is probably going to be sick for 4 more days, and then the next person gets sick. So we usually keep a good amount on hand anyway in case that happens, so that we don't have to go someplace when we're very sick. Because we don't want to pass anything on anyway, whether it's COVID, flu, or just a cold or anything else. So we usually do keep a supply. But you did like regularly for about 2 or 3 weeks add another large.
Yeah, we didn't go crazy. I didn't buy a crate of toilet paper, although when you hear the stories about the woman who bought the crate of toilet paper and then tried to return it a week later because she's a single, live at home, you know, person, like 4 months later or something, she tried to return it. I mean, we could literally buy a crate of toilet paper and we'd be just like, that's perfect. That's we will go through it. But yeah, I kind of got a kick that that's one of her memories that she really remembered.
Well, and the younger girls remembering so fondly being out in the river.
See, now that's kind of where I like this yin-yang of my son versus my 2 younger daughters, because the 2 younger ones, you know, Wild Wolf and Fairy Dancer, were both like, oh my God, we spent so much time in the river. We caught crayfish. You know, when our godfather did come up, he was showing us how he found an exhaust pipe or a strut that was full of crayfish, and I stepped on one and bit my toe, and they totally like, yeah, we were out of the house constantly.
But they also enjoy the river a little bit more. Our oldest enjoys the peaceful tranquility of the river, just sitting there and listening to it and maybe futzing in the water a little bit, like with his fingers. They enjoy exploring the river.
This is true.
So that would be much more like memorable for them.
It was an interesting contrast. So I got through my the Swedish Compass, my oldest daughter, and hers was kind of the memories I was kind of looking for and probing for. You know, yes, I was scared that the virus might, kill us all, but you explained that it wouldn't, and Mom explained that it wouldn't, and we prayed about it. We talked about it as a family. You were very open and honest, like you didn't hide anything. Like we were very, very open and honest.
Well, they knew that it was dangerous for certain people. They knew that children generally weren't negatively impacted.
Yeah, they knew that we shouldn't go with
And they understood that we couldn't go visit our elderly relatives like grandparents and stuff. They understood why that was not
why that wasn't a thing.
Good idea.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the things I think I'll actually give us as credit is I think some people hid a lot of this stuff, but with today's digital age, it's never hidden. Our daughter even talked about during that. We talked about this during our Rona's Remembered. Every single online educational. Oh my God, you're actually drinking the drink this time. Amazing.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's an achievement.
And now you've lost your train of thought.
No, I have not actually. So we got to sign up for a bunch of online learning sites for free as homeschoolers. This was my wife's fantasy that all these sites we could demo for free. And this one, the kids could buy clothes and whatnot. They did assignments and earned credits. Well, one of the things you could buy was a mask for your character. And she was so disturbed. She wrote an amazing perspective or editorial. I guess I'll call it an editorial.
Yeah, because it was in the little newspaper.
Yeah, it was how horrible it was that they had these masks, that she comes to this virtual reality world. It really was. They ran around with little avatars and talked to friends and whatnot and did adventures and quests. But that she had to see masks and people masking and talk about masks and worry about masks. Do you have your mask? I mean, she's like, how many times would you be like, we're going out. Do you guys have your masks? Because in case they require me, you're like, oh my god, I don't have a mask. Like, it doesn't fit. I gotta wear my brother's mask, which smells weird, but it's all I got. And she was so horrified that this virtual world had masks in them. And it's a beautiful
place that she would go to escape.
Yeah, it was a beautiful story that she wrote about, how horrifying it was that they required these masks or had them available. I guess they didn't require them; they just had them available. And she's like, "What a travesty that I can't see a real face, and now I can't even see an avatar face."
Well, and even I tried to buy some cutesy T-shirts and clothes for the kids because I like to each summer get them a few sets of shirts, T-shirts, and shorts. And as I'm looking, a lot of the T-shirts have masks on the characters, or
our son had the built-in one. It had a built-in mask and a sweater.
Which was, he picked that shirt and he liked it.
I'm not saying,
it's his thing.
it was his thing.
And our oldest he is very conscious of other people, so he's always nervous of getting somebody sick. And even now, if he's got a little cough, he's more comfortable wearing a mask into church or something. Yeah. Even if he's not sick, hasn't had a fever, but if he's
and even talked about that. One of the things he fears now going into 2022 is making friends and getting them sick. Like if he gets the bug again, that he might get them sick.
Which is a legitimate fear. How many times has our kids' sports teams been passing stuff around in the last month and a half, 2 months? It can happen. So, but yeah, he. I even their T-shirts, and it
was crazy there for a while. It was really
even statues getting masks put on them. I'm like, really?
Yeah. So we talked about the two older. So let's go Wild and Free Wolf, our next oldest daughter. We kind of talked about her big thing was the river. She remembers the river. She remembers playing around in it. She was not locked down in the house watching videos. I'm still a
little sensitive
about that.
You also have to remember that our oldest is the one that loves games and loves videos.
He loves
so
staying
those
inside.
are the two things that are really going to resonate with him.
And they, as I admitted, yes, that summer we did at night do more videos and video games than I ever would have allowed. May ever allow in this house again. Even now, they watch a 30-minute video tonight after traveling and driving, and we still got our chores done. We still, we watched a little short video. And it's winter. It's not like we can,
I'm not into the videos.
Go play outside and whatnot. That's what we used to cancel our Netflix account during the summer. Now it's completely canceled. It's just canceled. We just don't have it, but. We used to, any streaming service we used to cancel during the summer because we never used it, save a few bucks. Was there anything else from Wild and Free Wolf that sticks out to you?
I don't think so.
She talked a little bit about her first communion.
Yep, her first communion.
Her first communion, which was just odd.
That was
we weren't allowed to invite family and friends. The godparents. So her
We were
godparents.
told that we could, but it was a max of so many people.
And even then, like, it was
and
frowned
with our
upon.
family size, like we were actually asked, well, can your younger ones stay
home.
And I'm like, who am I going to leave them home with? I'm not even
Right.
allowed to hire a
Can't hire a
babysitter.
babysitter.
And so, like, which
And-
means our oldest two would have had to stay home to watch the youngest two.
And one of the most unfortunate things is, I haven't talked much about this. We have the same godparents pretty much for all our. I mean, the two we have, they call them, even though it's might not be their godfather, they call them Godfather. I mean, it's Godfather. Yeah. I'll just use the names, Joe and Chad. The worst part is, if we were allowed to invite them, one at the time only lived about an hour away. The other one lived, I think he was still downstate, so he lived like 6 hours away. They would have beef-footed it, been up there.
Well, the worst part, it's not like they gave us a ton of warning. So we knew it was going to happen, but they didn't even give us a date.
Well, they didn't tell us whether or not,
And
because
it
we
was
asked.
wild and free. Hers was, there are 4 dates or 3 dates, and you tell me which one is your first choice, your second choice, and your third choice. And then I will assign you one, because they didn't want too many or couldn't have too many people in the church at the time. And so we didn't even know until like the week of which mass it was going to be. And then, of course, the kids all had to wear masks. And she picked such a beautiful First Communion dress.
Mm-hmm.
And a mask just would not work. So instead of just making her a simple mask, I ended up making the veil mask for her. Which was...
Hopefully she
beautiful.
saves that, and that can be worked into her wedding dress or something, because it was a beautiful. I mean, it was lace, and it was satin, and it was a pain in the boot toss.
Yeah, it was this.
I think I bought like 4 yards worth of the total of the crap, and which should have made enough masks for all of us. I think it made it a mask.
No, I made everybody's masks out of that fabric.
Did you? Because I thought but hers I think fouled up more than once.
Well, hers did, but because it was a veil, I was able to kind of work around a lot of that stuff. So, I mean, it was gorgeous and everything, but it was just weird and awkward.
So, yeah, we talked a little bit about that, about her First Communion, and she even, like, what we're now finding now, saw the, what is it when logic fails, the... Stupidity. I'll go with stupidity.
Ignorance?
Ignorance of, like, we took our masks off, we then interacted with each other, interacted with the priest, and then quickly put them on, because we don't want to get...
Well, and then
we
like,
don't want to
they're
pass
like, well,
it.
let's take a picture, but you have to take off your mask,
And
but hold your breath.
Hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. She had to hold her breath for the picture. Shit you not. Which was just bonkers. It was just absolute bonkers.
But then Fairy Dancer had her First Communion too, not at the same time. So this has been an ongoing problem.
This is how long it was.
So now in another whole year. So with our first one, we did almost exclusively our own CCD, our own education, for Eucharistic. I can't remember the exact terminology right now, but for her
Eucharistic ministry, or
for her first Eucharist. So we actually did we had to follow the church's information, which if it was connected with their classes, it would probably be a very good amount. But for just going over these tiny little, like, pamphlets at home for an entire program.
We actually bought a curriculum. We went out because they sent home, like, little workbooks that were a joke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, those little workbooks are meant to kind of supplement and support the classes. But when the classes aren't happening, you're kind of like, okay, I'll read these, like, 8 paragraphs and okay. Yeah. So I didn't feel like that was really going to teach the kids enough. And so we bought the Blessed curriculum, and it was fun, and it was
good.
It was educational, beautiful pictures in the workbooks, and the videos were entertaining but educational, like useful. And I think the kids have actually enjoyed watching it more than once. Like, it's engaging enough that all of the kids have watched them.
Now, the part I kind of felt sad with Fairy Dancer is they actually loosened the regulations. You could have guests, and they actually gave you a number, but we invited, well, we didn't invite the Godfathers because it was the same thing. I think it was like a weekend. We were given 3 dates, and then they'd pick one of the dates, and so the Godfathers couldn't make it, but like we invited some family, and they're like, we're not gonna make it. It's just.
But I mean, they did watch it, I think, on live.
They did do that one was
and
live
I don't
streamed.
think Wild and Freeze was live streamed.
No.
Maybe it was.
I don't think it was. I think they recorded it and they sent video later for us to share with friends and family.
No, that
But
might
it was
have been
not live streamed.
I know Fairy Dancers was live
Fairy Dancers
streamed.
definitely was. So our church actually like tilted into live streaming, and now it's a thing.
They live stream every
Their mass is now one of the most attended live stream masses in the entire UP. Which that's a topic when I talk to our priest next time.
Cool.
Right. Well, so for Fairy Dancer, let's talk about, since we kind of pivoted to her. What else? Is there anything else that you kind of remember with her? Kind of reacted to her video? I know my biggest thing, and I'm kicking myself. This is why I'm doing this video series, because I was talking with her, and we actually went to Mackinac Island during the pandemic.
Yep.
Which was just the biggest, funniest joke I've ever known. So we all had, this is going to get a lot of hate. YouTube censors are going to find this, but we used the neck guards, the sleeves, so we could pull them up and pull them down and pull them, because the girls were getting, I don't know how many hairs I tied into masks at first.
And so many knots around the masks.
And just knots around the hair, like Wild and Free Wolf. I got her hair bad.
When she has such
long hair, and she hated to put in any ponytail or pigtails or whatever, braids alone. She didn't like that. So I didn't remember that. Like, even when we did I forgot we went to Mackinac Island during the not the height, but it was a pandemic. I mean, it was going on.
So it wasn't at the beginning of the pandemic. It was almost like a year into the pandemic.
It was definitely the middle, yeah. Where there was still regulations, but there wasn't.
There were lots of regulations, but people were kind of getting to that point where they're like, okay.
Well, because my funniest memory of that trip was, like, the island itself. You had people who, like, while you're walking outside, you need to put your mask on. Just put it on. Where's your real mask? Because we had neck guards, and the neck guards at the time, that was the devil. Like, you couldn't have these neck sleeves. But with kids, it was just nice. You put it on, you're walking, put it around your neck, it kind of absorbs some of your sweat. I actually enjoy, pre-pandemic, I actually started wearing a neck guard while hiking, because it was nice to not have the sweat just dripping down my neck.
Well, and I don't know if Fairy Dancer mentions it, but that's actually one of her favorite uses for the neck guard now, because she wanted to go, so I took the kids, they wanted to go into like the Haunted Mansion.
The theater, right?
The theater, Haunted Theater.
Yep.
And so I took them, and it was, Swedish Compass is the one that really wanted to go, and I don't mind scary things. So I was like, sure, fine, we'll go. But then I had younger ones who wanted to go, and it was our 5-year-old at the time, or 4-year-old at the time. He was 4. He was 4, yeah. and then Fairy Dancer. And I don't know why she wanted to come, because she doesn't like anything scary, but whatever. She wanted to come, and it was convenient because I think the younger two were actually free.
Yeah.
Because I think they were under the age. Maybe Fairy Dancer wasn't. I can't remember. But anyway, we start going through this thing. And like within the first 2 scares, the little ones are like, ah! And I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a little noise. It's just a head popping up out of a box, whatever it was, And so I'm like, it's okay. So we get no more than 3 scares in, and Fairy Dancer finds the actual use for these masks. She covers her entire face with it.
Puts it
so
up.
She can't see the scary things. And so she is actually walking, and Swedish Compass, for whatever reason, is suddenly terrified. So she's taking up the rear, like she's walking in the back. So I'm carrying our 5-year-old, his 4-year-old maybe at the time. His head is like buried in my neck. And he's got his mask on, and he's got my mask partially around his head. And we're walking through. And Fairy Dancer's behind me with her mask, of course, covering her entire face so she can't see anything. She's holding on to my shirt for dear life. And then Swedish Compass is bringing up the back, keeping, I think, one eye
Right,
closed.
the cat Taylor, or the scared cat little dance going on. I
Yeah.
heard about.
And with her hand on Fairy Dancer's shoulder.
Yep.
So I mean, I think that like we've talked about it a few times with her, and Fairy Dancer will say that's the best use for a mask is to
Right.
cover your
Cover your
face in a
face up.
scary thing.
Well, but what I kind of get the kick out of is we had to take a ferry over to Mackinac Island, and this is the time when they were pushing 6 feet, between each person, and we went to a date night just before that, I think, wasn't it? Or was it just after?
That must have been
It
after.
was just after. I mean, like, even the waiter was like, "You need to sit across the table from here." Like, she sits here, you sit there. I'm like, "Nah, not happening, not happening." Like, we had
But
to
I
like.
think that was also the people around us. Like
Well,
you had to sit on a certain side of the table so that you were far enough
you're
away
far
from
enough
people
away,
at the
and
other
like I was
table.
waiting for a tape measure to come up. But here we are on a ferry, and we're packed in like sardines. Like our family luckily took over our whole bench, but like one of the girls, or was it Ash, or was it Vashman, wanted to sit like by the railing, so him and Swedish Compass went to a different bench, and then they got packed in with people who, like, we don't know these people, like, whatever. I mean, in a normal situation, fine. It's not like there was like creepers or anything, but no one wore a mask because when you're getting hit with these, like, it was a little, I think it was a little rainy. You don't want a wet mask on your face, so people all took them down. We're packed in like sardines. You hit the island though, and there was literally an attendant there who, as you were walking, like 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, like yelling at people. Like, wait,
And the
we
worst
just
part
sat
is,
on a ferry for 40 or 20,
I think
30
they're-
minutes
I
because
think
we
they're
took the tour.
45-minute ferries.
Well, we that was the bridge one. We went under
Well,
the
when
bridge.
we took the bridge, it's an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was a longer ferry.
Or
Well,
an hour and
it was
15.
that was also kind of fun. So we're sitting there, and I actually know a lot of history with. I love the Mackinac Bridge. I'm addicted to the Mackinac Bridge. That is one of my favorite things to look, to research, because it's an amazing engineering feat. And we learned about decompression sickness because of this bridge. Like, you had the guys who'd go down and start digging the pylons. They'd come up too fast and then die. Like, it's an amazing thing to learn about. So I'm talking about the history of the bridge, and one of the kickers is the bridge was actually only supposed to last for 50 years, and they were supposed to replace it. Now it's coming up on 75 years. I'm explaining, this bridge is 75 years. It expired 50 years ago. So, technically, this bridge could go at any time as we're under it. Like, the lady behind me gets all close up to my face because you can't hear the engine and water. She's like, "Please shut up. I don't need to know any of this." And I was like, "Well, wait a second. We're about to see the skeleton under the bridge, so just wait." And like her eyes just, I could have coughed and said, "Rona's," and not get the response she got when I was like, "Well, there is no skeleton, by the way. It's a joke. It's an urban legend that there's a skeleton inside the concrete. There really isn't. Although many people died making it."
Many? I thought it was 5.
No, it was, well, if you count the people who died from falling and on the deck, I think it was 6. But they actually did have quite a few who died because of decompression sickness, because they worked so deep in these tunnels and then came up. I don't think they count theirs. I know a lot of them got really, really sick until they realized, okay, put them 150 feet down, but then at 75 feet, you make them stop for an hour, and then 25 feet or meters or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we're all packed in like sardines. You hit the island and everyone's yelling 6 feet apart. They wanted us, a family that, spoiler alert, we rode in the same car without masks on over, and they're like 6 feet apart. So like, it was weird. Like, they wanted me and my daughters to be 6 feet apart getting off the boat when we just spent an hour, because it's a longer tour, next to strangers who are all coughing and hacking and whatever. We didn't get sick. Let's just throw that out there. We did not get sick.
Well, and that's the year we went to the mystery spot where we went on a tour, which was supposed to be no more than 10 people, and I think
There's
there
20
was
people, easy.
20, 30 people in the
Easily.
tour. And we went on the maze, which was actually pretty cool, but there were people that
That was the summer where we. So growing up, in the UP. There's a lot of roadside parks and a lot of attractions, and my dad loved to travel and go places, but he was the traditional um, boomer father who, you don't stop. You got a pee bottle in the back. We do a 12-hour trip all the way through, and he'd always talk about these roadside attractions. It's like, oh, the mystery spot. Yep, that's the mystery spot. Yeah, we'll stop there one day. Not today, but one day we'll stop there and we'll, So I was like, you know what? No, I'm not doing that to my. It was we had a little more freedoms because the govs loosened stuff up. So we went to, oh my God, tons of these roadside attractions, these state parks, these.
You went to Mystery Park. I don't think we actually made it to Discover Mill Creek that time.
We
But
did.
We had been there before.
We had been there before, but we actually did. We did go to Mill Creek.
I didn't think
Yeah,
so.
because we had the pass. We didn't do the adventure tour then, or did we?
No, we didn't. We've
No,
only
but
done
we
that
we
once.
definitely stopped there and listened to the sawmill, and we
Yeah.
went to the zoo, the Garland Zoo. We went there. That was one of the first times we went there, and
There was some other place we went to.
yep, we went
This
to
was fun.
Castle Rock.
Yeah.
We went to.
Did we climb Castle Rock?
We
that
climbed
year?
Castle Rock that year. Yep.
Wow. I don't remember climbing that.
I think we went to Seashell City. Did we go there that year or not? Maybe we didn't.
No.
Maybe we didn't.
I think
go
we
there.
wanted to, and that was originally in the plan, and then it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't.
I think we were all too tired and too spent.
That's right. It was on the plan, and we're like, even the kids who were like all about the Seashell City were like,
No.
no, we've done enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Did we do the fort that year? We might.
I want to
not-
say we did. I want
we
to say it
might
was a
have done
quick.
the fort. Because the fort on Mackinac is so fun.
Oh, and we also did Michelin
And Michelin.
Or did we wait until your friend came up to do Michelin Because we went back.
I don't know. Because we've done Michelin so many times, and
No, that was the year your friend came up, and we did Mackinac City. We took them to Michelin.
that was before the pandemic. Because
Was it? I thought that was during the pandemic.
Because their baby was only like 11 months old, or 10 months old. So that was definitely pre-pandemic.
I kind of felt bad because like that's something I didn't talk about with when we did our Rona's Remember. Like, oh my God, we actually did go
Yeah, we did a
to
lot.
kind of. And what was interesting is actually they shut a lot of that crap down. Like we kind of snuck in. There was this weird gap period where like, oh no, it's fine. It's like, okay, cool, let's go.
There's that weird space where it was open
Because that
with
was
limited capacities, and then they shut everything down again. And we managed to catch most of that fun stuff.
because that was the water parks is what they shut down. Because we stayed at a hotel, Pirate Cove. What was it, the Hilton or was it the
I don't know.
Hamilton or?
I don't
It's
know.
got this amazing water park for the UP, especially indoor. We went to it and we were having a blast. I was working for the state, and like I think the next week or so, that's when they shut down all water parks. All pools and water parks were then shut down. I was like, wow, we really
Got that
we
one.
dodged a bullet. Like it was
Right. And that was so expensive, but it was such a nice. We got like a mini suite where there was like a
2 rooms, a
two
kitchenette.
rooms and like a kitchenette that didn't actually have it had like a microwave. And
It had a
stuff.
microwave, a sink, a refrigerator. It wasn't,
Yeah.
but it was a kitchen area. You could prep food there.
Yeah.
Well, we did that. So why we kind of went all out? Because usually when we go, we've been to Mackinac Island a handful of times. We've been to Michelin Mackinac.
Usually we spend a night
we-
with family. We get up early in the morning.
We go in the morning and take off. But what happened was we had an RV trailer that we kept out at a piece of property that the family owned. And we kind of realized, you know what, we got it because that property was very popular with family, and it
And you were
became
working
this.
out
I was working out there at the time, and it became this like, well, I was working out there because I was on pager for their ambulance service. You'd have other family members who are like, well, we're going to use the cabin this weekend. It's like, well, we have to use the cabin because I am working. So just so you know what, got a trailer. It kind of, we weren't using it as much, so we ended up actually selling it to family, which they got a feller deal. It turns out. I'm kind of kicking myself after I sold it, and I it should have made sense so that
I tried to argue with
you
you.
did try to argue with me, but you know I wanted it. I wanted someone to take care of it because we were kind of letting it go. We weren't going there as much because we had moved away from the area. But what had happened was, is I then found out that like this, God, how was that trailer? It had to be almost 20 years old
No, it
because
was
we
a
didn't buy it new.
2005.
Was it too? But
It was a 2005.
okay, but 2005, the Rona, so 15 years old trailer.
In mint
15,
condition.
16. It
Almost.
wasn't mint. It was not mint because
Okay, the floor was.
the floor was bad. The tires probably needed to be changed.
Nope, I was told those were actually in fantastic
Really?
shape. Yeah.
That's because your husband did. I bought these surplus tire guards off a surplus store. I slapped those on. I'm like, oh, just see what this does. I told one of the guys in a men's group I was with Exodus 90. I've talked about that before in this series. He's like, well, what did you have? I was like, well, it was a Airstream.
A
A Marilite. That's right. It was a Marilite. 20, what was it, a 20 foot that then expanded out to 26, or was it a 15 foot?
I think
that
it was a 21 expanded to 25.
to 20. No, it must. I think that thing was 5. So 26 expanded out to. I was like, it has bunk beds. It had 3 beds for kids, and then the table folded down into beds. And he's like, okay, how much you sell it for? I told him, he's like, you're an idiot.
I told you, you
I
wouldn't
know, I
listen
was
to
an idiot.
me.
No, whatever, fine. But yeah, so anyhow, we sold that. And with the proceeds, I was like, you know what? That was kind of our fun. We're having fun. Our adventure. We go out to the property for our adventure. So we use the money for the sale to just go all out. The hotel room, the suite, the park, the Michelin Machina. We even had like, okay, kids, you're not gonna hear Dad say this much, but if there is, every kid you go to when you travel and you go to these touristy spots, are always like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. This was the one trip I'm like, kids, if you want it, within reason, we're gonna get it. So we bought the zoo. We bought how many stupid stuffed animals? Which, granted, the one daughter.
That wasn't that trip because that was Grand Rapids Zoo. We did that.
No. That was Garland because that's where Leamy came in.
No, Leamy was from Grand Rapids.
Was it?
Yeah, he's much older than that.
Oh, is he much older than that? But so we just like let him. I mean, they bought so many crappy souvenirs that. Granted, some of them still have, and they're just like, "This is my favorite toy from that
Most
trailer."
of them still have. Oh, and it was Mystery Town USA was the other thing. I was like, we did something else, and I couldn't remember.
Did we do Mystery Town? Oh, we did. Yes,
and
you're
that's
right.
the one
Yep,
with
that was the
spinny
big one. Yeah.
thing And the Sasquatch.
The Sasquatch. Yep, you're right. That was Mystery Town USA because that was Swedish Compass and she still is. She's still into urban legends and cryptids, and she was in her heyday. Like she was like, "Can we go here? Can we go?" Like, even though I had planned on it, it was one of those like we got to the hotel and she's like, "Are we going to Mystery Town today?" I'm like, "No, we're not going today."
Yeah,
Went out
that
to the
was-
island. All right, folks. If you know a good video software, I'm ready. Although we talked for 52 minutes before it cut out, we kind of talked a little bit more about how, yeah, they just absolutely loved it. Our daughter, our youngest fairy dancer, kind of lost mermaid interest because the mermaids were creepy as hell. And the Sasquatch really kind of scared everyone, or scared fairy dancer.
It was pretty intimidating.
It
The
was intimidating,
alien
but
part was really
The
like,
alien was just fun.
fun.
Yeah.
So it was an amazing thing. I would definitely recommend it. I don't think I'd want to go again for at least a few years because I think they change things up.
It looks
every
like they're
few
changing
years.
stuff up, which is cool.
So I'd rather wait and like be
I'm
surprised.
glad because we did go again this last summer. That's when we went again, and we saw some of the changes. Some of it was COVID related. Some of it was just updating stuff we talked about. The mermaid one had this cool like bubbles kept falling down on you, which I could tell at the time they were going to get rid of because I was slipping and sliding on the floor.
But it was
it's
so cool.
beautiful. I mean, just
It
you
was
kind of
good.
those bubbles that came down really gave you the
sense of being underwater.
sense of underwater, and it was just awesome. So yeah, I think we'll probably wait a little bit before we go back. I think this summer. So Fairy Dancer loves Seashell City, and she hasn't been there in like 2 or 3 years, but she loves the underwater stuff, and So I think this summer we're going to have. That's got to be on our list of things to do, which will just be that'd be good for her and good for us to get out there. So, but yeah, their video was just it was awesome. I had a lot of fun shooting it, hearing what they remember, hearing what they don't remember, hearing like their perspective on it. It is interesting. They were all 100% shopping, going to a store, seeing people. They absolutely loved it, which I kind of got a kick out of.
Well, and I think they all kind of got, I don't want to say shy, but reserved now. And I think they are all a little bit more reserved than they were. They're still very friendly and stuff. But I think they're actually a little reserved with new people because of all of this. And
new people, new experiences, but yeah, it was interesting to watch their video, watch their perspective compared to ours. Like, what did we gravitate towards? What did we remember? I kick myself that during our remembering video, I never once mentioned Mackinac. Like, and that looking at restrictions, like what they were, what they weren't. All of a sudden they relaxed them, and then they put them in force, and like it was just kind of interesting.
well, it's funny because I didn't realize it really until you said it, but the turtle I think was gone. And then we found that secret park that was in the back behind the cemetery, because we were walking through the cemetery and we found a track to the park, and that park was just amazing.
Yeah, we found the if you're from the island, you know the park, but otherwise they kind of keep
And
it
if you're from the island and you see people who are not from the island using the park, you leave in a huff.
Right, they were a little upset that their precious park had been found by idiots. I don't know what they called us, but I'm sure it's what they call non-island people. Yeah, that was kind of cool finding that. So
That is a cool park. Definitely want to go back to that park.
So moving forward, what are we doing this summer? We kind of got Seashell City is on the list. Are we going back to Mackinac Island, do you think? We took a year off.
We had said we were probably going to take a year or two off. I know the kids want to go back to Mill Creek and do the adventure tour if that's ever open again.
Yeah.
And I would like to go back to Michilimackinac. I don't know if maybe wait another year before we go to the island.
I think one more year. I was a little.
We went every year for a few years.
We did.
Which is great.
The last time we went, which we went one more time after that.
No, I think we've only gone once during the pandemic.
Did we go just once during the pandemic? I was a little put off because some of the attractions we went to, like they have a knife forging booth. And the guys went from the first time we went there, they were all like, everyone's invited, come on down, we'll have fun, we'll make knives, like spontaneous. They were very kind, very like awesome. And then the last time we went during the pandemic, they're like, do you have an appointment? Like, I know we need one. Oh, everyone needs an appointment. During this time, we need to crowd control. And it's like, okay. Even like they were demoing stuff, and it was like very like, I don't know what this is.
And I think the butterfly house was permanently shut down, and
yep.
Because all the butterflies were, I don't know.
Can't have butterflies get Ronas apparently. That's right. They might have the Ronas and the butterflies, but maybe give that another year. What other? The Paulding Light.
Yep.
Is one I think we're going to try to hit this summer. Newsflash! My dad, his grandpa, is moving full time back to the UP. After living down in Florida, he's realized that the error of his ways, that he is not a Floridian. He is a born, raised, bred. Well, he's not born up here. He's actually a troll.
I was going to say, he wasn't.
We don't talk about the troll. He misguided youth. He saw the error of his ways. He's back in the UP. So there's some, I think actually taking the mine tour, doing the Copper Country mine tour. I
considered because there's the De Young Zoo, which is, kind of down away from us. I considered going there, but I just saw an article like they've had 30 animals suddenly disappear, and I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not. There's something a little unusual going on over there.
So here's the big question, and one of their godfathers wants to know the answer.
Uh-oh.
Is Wisconsin going to be in our list of things this summer? Are we going to
You
go?
know, no.
And I don't blame you. For those of you guys who maybe watch this 10, 20 years in the future, Wisconsin is a hot mess right now. They're having a lot of issues, and I don't know if they're going to resolve them this summer. Hopefully,
Well, I mean, and we've already been there.
yeah, we win.
And because Swedish Compass plays basketball, and for whatever reason, the teams we play against happen to be in Wisconsin. And I don't want to go back.
One of the
anytime
teams was
soon.
very nice. One of them was complete, utter d-bags.
I don't know if I'd say the other team was even nice. They were just less mean.
They
than
were
the
less
first.
mean. That's a good way to put it. I don't. That soured my stomach a little bit when you had this. And they're religious teams. That's the craziest part. But like, the one team, 100%, they were a-holes up and down and
Just
even,
aggressive and mean.
well, and then we found out that
fouling.
they're swearing up and down, and like apparently the team we play for here, they're like, yeah, we're not going. After we learned what they were doing, we're not going back to that one. The other one was super aggressive. Like Swedish Compass got knocked on her keister, like bad, and then like after the game. The girl came up who knocked her down, like gave her a big hug. Like, I'm so sorry, I knocked you down. I feel so bad, but you know, you kind of deserved it. And like, she's like, Dad, I don't know what to make of that. Like, what do you do with that? I'm like, well, you just shake it off and shake her hand and say, good game, see you next year. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm gonna buff up a little bit. So
Yeah.
apparently, we got to get my oldest Vash man out of the freaking house because I don't know what that means. Because yeah, that's weird. That like I'm not gonna gravitate on it. Skip.
You're really gravitating
skip,
on
I'm
it.
skipping,
It really is
I'm
like
skipping.
the
That'll
thing
be,
that he likes.
That'll be a
is what
video.
he's
That'll be a
focusing
video
on.
later. I'll bitch him out a little bit more, maybe in a future video. But,
Oh, get over it. He's a teenager.
I'll get over it. He is a teen. He's our almost 16-year-old, which hurts to say that I'm a 16-year-old a little bit.
I know you are getting so old.
Mm-hmm.
So old. Anyway, no, I don't have plans necessarily to go to Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it will happen because of, anybody else playing sports or summer sports. And honestly, if there's something we want to do in Wisconsin, I would just rather wait until next basketball season when we're going to have to go anyway.
Go be in Wisconsin anyway.
So, there was a, ooh, what is this whole thing about Green Bay? I don't feel that anymore.
Yep.
So, yeah. And I don't really have any desire to go to Canada anymore, so no.
Canada's a hot mess, which is unfortunate because we both went to college in the near the Canadian area, Sault Ste. Marie, Go Lake State, which is really unfortunate because it was a lot of fun to go there.
Oh
and
gosh, even after the kids were born, we used to go over and go to the mall and
go to the
stuff.
mall, go check out, and because it is I mean, a lot of people don't realize this if you haven't been to Canada. It is a different culture. Like, it is a different country, and it's not just the kinder, gentler American culture. They have a different way of thinking, a different way of acting. But yeah, that's a hot mess. I think we're gonna wait till after their election because.
Well, and I know that there's a wedding happening over there, but I don't even know if that's gonna you're gonna.
Yeah,
be
we'll
able
see
to
if I
go.
can get over. I might have to.
Might just
sneak
not
over.
Go. No, you're not sneaking over.
I'll sneak over.
That is
He's worth sneaking
that
over
is
for. He's done
completely
a lot for
asinine,
us.
and he is not worth that much. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
he's worth a.
No. Anyway, moving on.
And moving on. So that's in October. Maybe shit will change. Who knows? There's a lot of
I
change
do
going
hope
on.
because I know a few Canadians who are just miserable with the situation and what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
That's for another political video.
Yes,
We recorded one of those. I don't know if it'll see the light of day because it kind of got super political, and I got to cut a.
You went way.
I did.
Way
I got
political.
dark. I probably shouldn't have. That was. I think
avoid
actually.
politics.
I think actually that was because I of work. I think crap got really political at work, so I let it continue. But well, good enough. We're going on an hour again, which is great. I love talking to my wife for this long. It's so much fun, and that she's willing to sit out. Although the garage is 45 degrees.
Yeah, so cold for anybody with common sense. Just so you
Right.
know.
Well, once I get that wood stove installed this summer, we'll get this place just a cooking. You won't even know. It'll be so hot you won't even know what to do with. We'll be out here in tank tops and sweaters, and maybe we'll call it the the Deck Cigar Talks
Tank
2.0.
tops and
Oh,
sweaters.
yeah. Tank tops
Is
and
that
shorts.
like socks and sandals?
Right, socks and sandals, same thing, same thing. You'll love it. It'll be summer in here. We'll get up to 100 degrees. It'll be great. Yeah, I am hopeful. I'm really excited about this summer. We have a lot of big homesteading projects planned.
Yep.
We are currently sourcing seeds left, right, and backwards. We're having a little trouble finding them. Shock horror. I know.
Right.
So I'm excited about this summer to see what it brings, and
We are gonna have to meter our trips into like 1 day or 2 day trips because of the livestock, but
yeah.
or find somebody for it.
We got to find, maybe we go talk to the local college or church. Maybe find some church people or some other homeschoolers who
Yeah.
we can throw them some stock. The stock, by the way, is going great. We made some turkey stock out of our homegrown turkeys, which apparently is a thing. Update. We're going to have turkeys again this year.
Yeah, Swedish Compass.
Swedish
wants
Compass is
more
put her foot down. We're having turkeys, Dad. Just so you know, we're having turkeys.
We even got a request for a sheep though.
We got sheep and we got those goats more than sheep. It was goats and pigs they really want. I didn't hear the sheep one.
Oh yes, yes.
We're not doing sheep.
I was like, I don't want to deal with the wool. I think it's just gonna be gross and smelly and a lot of work, and I'm not ready to take on that project yet.
Right? No.
I mean, maybe someday, because I think
Pigs.
sheep are pretty
I think
cool.
pigs are gonna maybe happen this summer. We're in negotiations right now with a pig breeder. I'm not excited about that, but I'm excited for my kids to experience that because I don't know if I shared that on this one actually about my disdain for pork
You
and
probably have.
pigs. Maybe I have.
You don't hide your disdain.
Right. I grew up on a bit of a. My parents had pigs, and that meat was the meat for the year. But we'll do it because the kids need that experience. But yeah, this should be an interesting summer. Stay tuned for update videos. But the big one is please record your remembering videos because, like I said, I totally missed in ours going to Michilimackinac, going to Mackinac Island, and that was kind of a big.
That was a big.
That was a big thing that I almost.
And it's funny that you did forget because we still play the game because
The Macopoly.
We got Macopoly when we went.
Yep.
At the hotel.
At the hotel, we actually went and splurged and bought a new board game. One we have 2 copies of already.
Well, we have Monopoly, so getting the Macopoly was just kind of a special.
Well, because we had the
treat.
straight Monopoly, and then we have the was it 90s or urban or city or some crap like that.
I don't
know either, but so yeah. So stay tuned. Again, record your Rona's Remember. This is something I know a lot of us want to forget, but we shouldn't. A lot of good lessons, a lot of good experiences happened,
And obviously a lot of fun was had by our family.
There was some fun had by our family. I hope your families all did too, because yeah, it was a good time. So, all right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to sign off. So, hope everyone's staying safe out there, staying healthy, and we'll see you on the next one.